The unexpected gift. The twin moons of Zephyria cast an ethereal glow over the crystalline spires of the capital city, their light refracting through the transparent structures in a dazzling display of color. High above the bustling metropolis, in the uppermost chamber of the tallest tower, Princess Lyra of the Zephyrian Empire paced nervously. Today was her ascension day, her 100th solar cycle, and the most important moment in any young Zephyrian's life. Lyra's iridescent skin shimmered with anticipation, her forearms fidgeting with the intricate ceremonial robes that draped her slender form. She paused before a mirror, studying her reflection. Large, almond-shaped eyes of swirling violet gazed back at her, framed by a delicate pattern of bioluminescent markings that pulsed with her quickening heartbeat. "Your Highness," a soft voice called from the doorway. Lyra turned to see her handmaiden, Vex, bowing low. "It is time." With a deep breath, Lyra followed Vex through the winding corridors of the palace. The walls hummed with a faint energy, the living architecture responding to her presence. As they approached the grand hall, the hum grew to a crescendo, and Lyra felt a flutter of nervousness in her 3 hearts. The massive doors of the grand hall parted silently, revealing a cavernous space filled with the Empire's most esteemed citizens. Thousands of Zephyrians, their bodies a kaleidoscope of colors and patterns, turned to watch as Lyra glided down the central aisle. At the far end, atop a dais of pulsating crystal, stood Emperor Zorn, Lyra's father and ruler of half the known galaxy. As Lyra reached the foot of the dais, she knelt, bowing her head in respect. Emperor Zorn's voice boomed through the hall, enhanced by the room's natural acoustics. "Rise, Princess Lyra, heir to the Zephyrian throne. On this, your ascension day, you shall receive the gift that will shape your destiny and the future of our great empire." Lyra stood, her hearts pounding. The Ascension Day gift was a closely guarded secret, different for each heir, chosen to challenge and mold them into the leader they were meant to become. She had spent countless cycles wondering what her gift might be: a powerful artifact, a fearsome beast to tame, a complex puzzle to solve. Emperor Zorn raised his arms, and the crystal days began to shift and reform. A hidden chamber opened, and from its depths rose a cylindrical pod, its surface rippling like liquid metal. "Behold," the Emperor announced, "your Ascension Day gift." The pod's surface became transparent, revealing its contents. Lyra's eyes widened in shock. Inside, suspended in a pale blue fluid, was a creature unlike anything she had ever seen. It was vaguely Zephyrian in shape, with 2 arms and 2 legs, but its skin was a uniform pale color, devoid of the vibrant patterns that adorned her people. Its face was flat, with a protruding nose and small rounded ears. Most striking of all was the mop of dark fibers sprouting from its head. Lyra's mind raced, trying to place its bizarre being. Then, with a jolt of recognition, she remembered the forbidden texts she had once stumbled upon in the palace library. Texts that spoke of a distant, primitive world called Earth, home to a species known as humans. Emperor Zorn's voice cut through her thoughts. "This specimen was acquired at great cost from a remote sector. It is young, barely into its 2nd decade, but possesses the potential that has made its species both fascinating and dangerous." The pod opened with a hiss, and the fluid drained away. The human's eyes fluttered open, revealing irises of a startling blue. It gasped, coughing and sputtering, as it took its first breath of Zephyrian air. Lyra stood frozen, her mind struggling to process the situation. A human. As her ascension gift, it made no sense. Humans were considered little more than animals by most of the Empire, a curiosity at best, a potential threat at worst. Why would her father give her such a creature? The human's gaze locked onto Lyra, and she saw fear, confusion, and something else, a spark of defiance that both intrigued and unsettled her. It opened its mouth and produced a series of harsh, guttural sounds that Lyra assumed was its primitive form of communication. Emperor Zorn's voice cut through the murmurs that had begun to ripple through the crowd. This human is now your responsibility, Lyra. You will study it, learn from it, and in doing so, come to understand both its species and yourself. The future of our empire may well depend on how you handle this gift. Lyra's mind reeled. This was not at all what she had expected. How was she supposed to learn from this creature? What could it possibly teach her that would be of value to the empire? As if sensing her thoughts, the emperor continued, "Do not be fooled by its primitive appearance, daughter. Humans possess a resourcefulness and adaptability that have allowed them to survive against all odds. They are capable of great creativity and equally great destruction. In studying this specimen, you will learn the strengths and weaknesses of a species that could one day challenge our dominion of the stars." The human, seemingly recovered from its initial shock, was now looking around the grand hall with wide eyes. Its gaze flickered from the crystalline architecture to the diverse array of Zephyrians, a mix of awe and fear evident on its features. Then, unexpectedly, it did something that sent a ripple of shock through the assembled crowd. It smiled. The expression was alien to Lyra, yet she found it strangely compelling. There was warmth in that smile, a hint of the very adaptability her father had spoken of. Despite its predicament, despite being surrounded by strange beings on an alien world, this human had found the courage to offer a gesture of, what? Friendship. Acceptance. Lyra wasn't sure, but she felt a sudden, inexplicable urge to respond in kind. Before she could act on this impulse, guards approached the pod, ready to secure the human. To everyone's surprise, the creature didn't resist. Instead, it stood on shaky legs and stepped out of the pod of its own accord. It was smaller than Lyra had expected, barely reaching her shoulder. As the guards moved to flank it, the human looked directly at Lyra once more. This time it spoke slowly, clearly, as if hoping she might understand. The words were gibberish to her ears, but the tone was unmistakably one of determined calm. Emperor Zorn nodded approvingly. "You see, daughter, already it attempts to communicate, to adapt. This is why humans are so intriguing and potentially dangerous. Your task is to unlock its secrets, to understand its mind and motivations. Only then can we truly know how to deal with its kind." Lyra felt a weight settle upon her shoulders, heavier than any ceremonial robe. This gift was more than just a creature to study. It was a test of her ability to lead, to understand those different from herself. The future of interspecies relations, perhaps even the security of the empire itself, could hinge on how she handled this responsibility. As the gravity of the situation sank in, Lyra made a decision. She would not treat this human as a mere specimen or a potential threat. If she was to truly understand it, she would need to approach it with an open mind and perhaps an open heart. Taking a deep breath, Lyra stepped forward, closing the distance between herself and the human. The guards tensed, but she waved them back with a graceful gesture of her lower arms. Standing before the creature, she saw her own reflection in its startlingly blue eyes, forearms, iridescent skin, and all. What must it think of her, she wondered? Slowly, carefully, Lyra raised one of her hands, palm outward, mimicking the human's earlier gesture of openness. The crowd held its breath, the grand hall falling into a tense silence. For a moment, the human hesitated, its strange, five-fingered hand hovering uncertainly. Then, with a deep breath that seemed to echo Lyra's own, it raised its hand and gently pressed its palm against hers. The contact sent a shiver through Lyra's body. The human's skin was warm, softer than she had expected, and she could feel the steady thrum of its pulse, so different from the triple beat of her own heart's, yet somehow comforting in its rhythm. In that moment of connection, Lyra felt a profound sense of possibility. This creature, this human, was more than just a gift or a responsibility. It represented a bridge between two vastly different species, a chance to expand the boundaries of her understanding and perhaps the understanding of her entire civilization. As Lyra lowered her hand, she made a silent vow. She would protect this human, learn from it, and in doing so, forge a path toward a future where their two species might coexist not as master and subject, but as equals. The Ascension Day ceremony concluded with the traditional rites, but Lyra barely noticed the pomp and circumstance. Her mind was filled with questions, plans, and a growing excitement. As she left the grand hall, the human walking beside her under the watchful eyes of the guards, she knew that her life, and potentially the course of galactic history, had been irrevocably changed. Little did Lyra know that this unexpected gift would lead her on an adventure beyond her wildest imagination, challenging everything she thought she knew about her world, her people, and herself. The journey ahead would be fraught with danger, filled with discoveries, and ultimately would redefine the very nature of what it meant to be human and Zephyrian. As the doors of the grand hall closed behind them, Lyra cast one last glance at the human. Its blue eyes met hers, still filled with that mixture of fear and defiance, but now with a glimmer of something else, hope. And in that moment, Lyra felt a spark of hope ignite within herself as well. The adventure was just beginning. Worlds collide. The days following Lyra's ascension ceremony were a whirlwind of activity and discovery. The human, whom she had learned was called Alex, had been given quarters adjacent to her own in the palace's east wing. This arrangement, unprecedented in Zephyrian history, had caused quite a stir among the court. Lyra stood on her balcony, gazing out at the shimmering cityscape as the first rays of Zephyria's blue sun peeked over the horizon. The events of the past few days played through her mind like a cosmic light show. "Your Highness," Vex's voice interrupted her reverie. "The human is awake." Lyra's heart quickened. "Thank you, Vex. I'll be right there." As she made her way to Alex's quarters, Lyra couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and apprehension. Their attempts at communication so far had been frustrating but fascinating. The neural translator implanted in Alex's brain was still calibrating, resulting in a bizarre mix of broken Zephyrian and incomprehensible human speech. The door to Alex's room slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, the human was standing by the window, bathed in the blue light of dawn. Alex turned as Lyra entered, those strikingly blue eyes widening in what she had come to recognize as surprise. "Good, sun up," Alex said hesitantly in heavily accented Zephyrian. Lyra felt a surge of pride. "Good sun up, Alex," she replied, her pronunciation of the human name still awkward on her tongue. "How do you feel?" Alex's brow furrowed in concentration as the translator processed her words. "I feel strange, but good, thank you." Lyra moved closer, her four hands clasped in front of her in a gesture of openness. "I'm glad. Today, I thought we might explore the palace gardens. Would you like that?" A smile spread across Alex's face, an expression Lyra was growing increasingly fond of. "Yes, I would like that very much." As they made their way through the winding corridors of the palace, Lyra couldn't help but notice the stares and whispers that followed them. The sight of the crowned princess walking side by side with a human was shocking to many, but Lyra held her head high. She was determined to show her people that this arrangement could work. The gardens were a marvel of Zephyrian bioengineering, a vibrant ecosystem of flora from across the galaxy. As they stepped out into the open air, Alex gasped in wonder. "It's beautiful," the human breathed, eyes wide as they took in the riot of colors and shapes around them. Lyra felt a warmth spread through her at Alex's reaction. "These are plants from many different worlds," she explained, leading them down a winding path. "We've adapted them to thrive in our environment." As they walked, Lyra pointed out various specimens, explaining their properties and origins. Alex listened intently, asking questions that revealed a keen intelligence and curiosity. Lyra found herself increasingly impressed by the human's quick mind and eagerness to learn. They paused before a particularly striking plant, its iridescent petals shifting color with each gentle breeze. "This is a Lumina bloom," Lyra said. "It's very rare, found only on a distant moon in the Andromeda galaxy." Alex reached out, fingers hovering just above the delicate petals. "May I?" Lyra nodded, and Alex gently stroked the flower. To Lyra's amazement, the plant responded, its colors intensifying and swirling in patterns she had never seen before. "Extraordinary," Lyra murmured. "I've never seen it react like that." Alex pulled back, looking sheepish. "I'm sorry, did I do something wrong?" "No, not at all," Lyra reassured. "It's just unexpected. The Lumina bloom usually only responds to Zephyrian touch. This is quite remarkable." As they continued their walk, Lyra's mind raced with questions. What other surprises might this human have in store? What other preconceptions about Alex's species might be challenged? Their peaceful exploration was interrupted by the sudden appearance of Lord Vaxer, one of her father's most trusted advisors. His face was a mask of barely concealed disdain as he approached. "Your Highness," he said, bowing stiffly. "Your father requests your presence in the war room. Immediately." Lyra frowned. "Can it not wait, Lord Vaxer? I'm in the middle of an important cultural exchange." Vaxer's eyes flicked to Alex, his upper lip curling slightly. "I'm afraid not, Your Highness. It concerns recent developments." The weight in his words sent a chill down Lyra's spine. She turned to Alex, apology written across her features. "I'm sorry, but I must go. Vex will escort you back to your quarters." As Lyra hurried away, following Vaxer's brisk pace, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. The war room was a place she had rarely been allowed to enter, reserved for the most serious of imperial matters. When they arrived, Lyra found her father standing before a massive holographic display, his face grim. The room was filled with military advisors and high-ranking officials, all wearing expressions of concern. "Ah, Lyra," Emperor Zorn said as she entered. "Good, you need to see this." With a wave of his hand, the holographic display zoomed in on a sector of space Lyra didn't recognize. Dozens of ships appeared, their designs unlike anything in the Zephyrian fleet. "We've detected a massive fleet entering the outer reaches of our territory," her father explained. "We believe they're of human origin." Lyra's heart skipped a beat. Human? But how? I thought their space travel capabilities were limited. A general stepped forward, his voice gruff. "It appears we've underestimated them, Your Highness. These ships are more advanced than anything we've encountered before. They're not responding to our hails, and their trajectory suggests they're headed straight for our core worlds." The implications hit Lyra like a gravitational wave. A human invasion force? But why now? And what did this mean for Alex? As if reading her thoughts, Emperor Zorn turned to her, his eyes hard. "Lyra, I need you to get every bit of information you can from the human. Its knowledge could be crucial in the coming conflict." Lyra felt her stomach twist. "Father, Alex has been nothing but cooperative. I don't think." "This isn't a request, Lyra," her father interrupted. "The safety of our people is at stake. You will do whatever is necessary to extract any useful intelligence from the human. Is that understood?" Lyra wanted to protest, to defend Alex, but the gravity of the situation weighed heavily upon her. With a heavy heart, she nodded. "Yes, father, I understand." As she left the war room, Lyra's mind was in turmoil. How could she betray Alex's trust? But how could she not, if it meant protecting her people? And what if Alex had known about this invasion all along? The peaceful morning in the garden seemed like a distant memory now. As Lyra made her way back to Alex's quarters, she steeled herself for what was to come. The future of two species might well rest on what happened next, and Lyra found herself caught in the middle, torn between duty and the growing bond she felt with the strange, fascinating human who had entered her life. Little did she know that her next conversation with Alex would set in motion a chain of events that would shake the foundations of both their worlds and redefine the future of human-Zephyrian relations forever. Echoes of rebellion. The corridors of the palace seemed to close in around Lyra as she approached Alex's quarters. Her mind raced, torn between her duty to her people and the unexpected connection she'd had formed with the human. As she entered, she found Alex poring over a holographic display of Zephyrian constellations, completely engrossed. "Alex," Lyra said, her voice barely above a whisper. The human turned, a smile spreading across their face before faltering at Lyra's expression. "What's wrong?" Alex asked, the translator conveying the concern in their voice. Lyra took a deep breath, steeling herself. "We need to talk. It's about your people." What followed was a tense conversation, filled with revelations that shook both Lyra and Alex to their core. The human fleet approaching Zephyrian space wasn't an invasion force, it was a desperate exodus. Earth, Alex explained with growing horror, had been ravaged by a cataclysmic event. Millions had fled in ark ships, seeking new homes among the stars. "We didn't know where else to go," Alex said, voice breaking. "We've been traveling for generations, hoping to find a habitable world." Lyra's heart ached at the pain in Alex's eyes. "But why didn't you respond to our hails? Why the silence?" Alex's brow furrowed. "Hails? We haven't received any communications. Our systems must be incompatible, or..." Their eyes widened suddenly. "Unless someone doesn't want us to communicate." The implication hung heavy in the air. If true, it meant there were forces at work trying to provoke a conflict between humans and Zephyrians. But who would benefit from such a war? As they delved deeper into the mystery, Lyra and Alex uncovered a web of deception that stretched back centuries. Hidden transmissions, redacted historical records, and whispers of a shadowy organization known only as the Confluence began to paint a disturbing picture. "The Nexus artifact," Alex gasped, pointing to an ancient Zephyrian glyph that matched a symbol found in Earth's oldest ruins. "It's the key to everything." Lyra felt a chill run down her spine. The Nexus artifact was a myth, a legendary device said to hold the power to reshape reality itself. If it truly existed, and if the Confluence was seeking it, the consequences could be catastrophic for both their species. Their clandestine investigation led them to the forgotten catacombs beneath the palace, where they discovered a hidden chamber filled with advanced technology, a blend of human and Zephyrian design that shouldn't have been possible. "This is incredible," Alex breathed, running their hands over a console. "Our peoples must have worked together in the past. But why was it hidden? Why were we kept apart?" Before Lyra could respond, alarms blared throughout the palace. They had been discovered. "We have to warn them," Lyra said urgently. "Both our peoples. If we don't stop the Confluence, everything we know could be destroyed." Alex nodded grimly. "But how? Your father thinks we're invaders, and my people don't even know you exist." A plan began to form in Lyra's mind, bold and dangerous. "We'll need help," she said, "and I know just where to start." What followed was a daring escape from the palace, with Lyra and Alex forming an unlikely alliance with a diverse group of rebels and outcasts. There was Zax, a grizzled Zephyrian war veteran disillusioned with the Empire's lies, Ilara, a brilliant human scientist who had been in cryosleep aboard one of the Ark ships, and Crix, a mischievous alien smuggler with contacts throughout the galaxy. Together, they raced against time, dodging Imperial forces and Confluence agents alike. Their journey took them to the far reaches of the galaxy, from the neon-drenched underbelly of Nova Proxima to the ethereal floating cities of the Aether Nebula. Along the way, Lyra and Alex's bond deepened, transcending the boundaries of their species. They discovered that their differences were not weaknesses, but strengths. Lyra's analytical mind, complementing Alex's intuitive problem-solving, their unique physiologies allowing them to overcome obstacles neither could have faced alone. As they pieced together the location of the Nexus artifact, they also unraveled the true history of human-Zephyrian relations. Eons ago, their ancestors had been allies, working together to create a peaceful galaxy. But the Confluence, an ancient order dedicated to preserving the purity of each species, had driven them apart, manipulating events to keep humans and Zephyrians isolated. Their quest culminated in a pulse-pounding race to the legendary planet of Astria Prime, said to be the birthplace of both their species. As they descended through its atmosphere, they were awestruck by the sight of massive floating crystals and impossibly tall spires that seemed to defy gravity. At the heart of an ancient citadel, they finally came face to face with the leaders of the confluence, a trio of beings that appeared to be hybrids of human, Zephyrian, and something other. "You're too late," the central figure hissed, its voice echoing unnaturally. "The Nexus artifact is ours. We will reset the galaxy, purge it of the abomination of interspecies cooperation." But Lyra and Alex stood firm, their allies at their side. "You're wrong," Lyra declared, her voice ringing with conviction. "Our strength lies in our unity, not our separation. We're living proof of that." As the confluence activated the Nexus artifact, reality itself seemed to waver. But in that moment, something extraordinary happened. The combined will of Lyra, Alex, and their diverse team of rebels resonated with the artifact, amplifying their shared vision of a united future. Energy surged through the chamber, and for a brief, breathtaking moment, Lyra and Alex felt the consciousness of every being in the galaxy, human, Zephyrian, and countless other species. In that instant of cosmic connection, the lies and manipulations of a confluence were laid bare for all to see. When the light faded, the confluence was gone, their machinations undone by the very power they sought to control. In their place stood a shimmering portal, a gateway to a new era of cooperation and understanding between all sentient beings. As the dust settled, Lyra turned to Alex, both of them forever changed by their journey. "What now?" she asked, her hand intertwining with the humans. Alex smiled, eyes shining with hope and determination. "Now," they said, "we build the future, together." And so, as news of their victory spread across the stars, humans and Zephyrians began the long process of reconnection and reconciliation. The arrival of the Ark ships was no longer seen as an invasion, but as a homecoming. Lyra and Alex, once gifter and gift, now stood as symbols of a new age, a testament to the power of understanding, cooperation, and love across the vastness of space and the boundaries of species. As they looked out at the endless possibilities stretching before them, Lyra realized that the greatest gift hadn't been Alex, but the journey they had taken together. A journey that had not only saved their peoples, but had shown them all the true potential of unity in diversity. The adventure was far from over. In fact, it had only just begun. Cosmic convergence. The galactic media dubbed it the Great Unification, but for Lyra and Alex, it was just the beginning of an even greater adventure. As ambassadors of the newly formed Interstellar Alliance, they found themselves at the forefront of a cosmic renaissance. Their first mission took them to the enigmatic Quantum Nexus, a massive space station at the heart of the former neutral zone between human and Zephyrian territories. The station, a marvel of joint engineering, pulsed with an energy that seemed to defy the laws of physics. "It's incredible," Alex breathed, their eyes wide as they took in the swirling vortexes of light that danced around the station's core. "I've never seen anything like it." Lyra nodded, her iridescent skin shimmering in the ethereal glow. "The quantum nexus is powered by technology we've only just begun to understand. It's a symbol of what we can achieve together." As they made their way through the bustling corridors, they encountered a dizzying array of species. Creatures of light and shadow brushed past silicon-based life forms, while energy beings communicated in pulses of pure thought. It was a microcosm of the new galactic order, chaotic, vibrant, and full of potential. Their guide, a being that appeared to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, led them to the heart of the station. Here, in a chamber that seemed to stretch into infinity, they found the true purpose of their visit. A massive holographic display flickered to life, revealing a map of the known universe. But this was no ordinary star chart. Glowing lines of energy crisscrossed the void, connecting distant galaxies in a web of cosmic highways. "The harmonic lattice," their guide explained, its voice resonating on multiple frequencies. an ancient network of spatial channels that once connected all sentient civilizations, lost for eons but now rediscovered. Lyra and Alex exchanged glances, the implications hitting them like a supernova. With the harmonic lattice, travel between the farthest reaches of the universe would be instantaneous. The possibilities were staggering. But as they delved deeper into the mysteries of the lattice, they uncovered a dark truth. The network was degrading, its pathways collapsing one by one. If the process wasn't halted, entire galaxies could be cut off from each other, dooming countless civilizations to isolation and eventual extinction. "We need to stabilize it," Alex said, their mind racing with possibilities. But how? The answer came from an unexpected source. Crix, their roguish alien friend, had been exploring the station's lower levels when he stumbled upon an ancient archive. Within its databanks, they found references to the cosmic resonance keys, artifacts of immense power that could restore and amplify the harmonic lattice. "The catch," Crix said with a mischievous grin. "They're scattered across the most dangerous and uncharted regions of the universe. Oh, and did I mention they're guarded by challenges that no single species has ever been able to overcome?" Lyra felt a familiar thrill of excitement. Then it's a good thing we're not a single species anymore. And so began an epic quest that would push the boundaries of their newfound alliance. Each key presented a unique challenge that required the combined skills and knowledge of multiple races to overcome. On the crystalline plains of Epsilon Vita, they faced a maze that shifted in response to thought patterns. It was Ilara, the human scientist, who realized that by linking their minds through Zephyrian psychic techniques, they could navigate the ever-changing labyrinth. In the crushing depths of the gas giant Nox Prime, where even light struggled to penetrate, they encountered beings of pure sound. Here, it was Zax's military training combined with Alex's innate musicality that allowed them to communicate and gain the trust of these strange entities. But it was in the heart of the Void Cascade, a region of space where reality itself seemed to break down, that they faced their greatest test. As the fabric of space-time warped around them, threatening to tear their ship apart, Lyra and Alex made a desperate gamble. Combining Zephyrian biotechnology with experimental human quantum theories, they created a hybridized navigational system that allowed them to surf the waves of distorted reality. It was dangerous, unprecedented, and exhilarating. As they emerged from the cascade, battered but triumphant, Lyra turned to Alex, her eyes shining with a mixture of awe and affection. "We did it," she said softly. "Together." Alex smiled, reaching out to intertwine their fingers with Lyra's. "We're stronger together, always have been." Their journey culminated at the Cosmic Forge, a massive stellar phenomenon at the edge of known space. Here, suspended in the heart of a dying star, they found the final resonance key. As they combined the keys, channeling the collective will of their diverse crew, the universe itself seemed to hold its breath. For a moment, everything hung in perfect balance, and then, with a surge of energy that rippled across reality, the harmonic lattice flared to life. Galaxies that had drifted apart for millennia were suddenly reconnected. Civilizations long thought lost made contact once again, and at the heart of it all stood Lyra and Alex, their improbable bond a testament to the power of unity in diversity. As they watched the renewed lattice pulse with vibrant energy, Lyra felt a profound sense of purpose. "This is just the beginning, isn't it?" she asked, her voice filled with wonder. Alex nodded, their eyes reflecting the cosmic dance before them. A whole universe of possibilities waiting to be explored, together. Hand in hand, human and Zephyrian, they stood at the threshold of a new era. The boundaries between species, between galaxies, between what was possible and impossible, all were blurring, opening the way to a future limited only by their collective imagination. As news of their success spread across the rejuvenated harmonic lattice, beings from every corner of the cosmos celebrated. The age of isolation was over. A new chapter in the history of the universe had begun, one of connection, cooperation, and infinite potential. And at the heart of it all, a most unexpected gift. The union of two beings from vastly different worlds continued to spark change, inspire hope, and prove that the greatest adventures arise when we dare to reach across the stars and connect. Echoes of eternity. The resurgence of the harmonic lattice had ushered in an era of unprecedented galactic harmony, but as Lyra and Alex were about to discover, the universe had one more cosmic curveball to throw their way. It began with an enigmatic transmission, received simultaneously by every sentient being across the connected galaxies. The message, a haunting melody interwoven with complex mathematical equations, originated from a region of space known as the Void, a vast emptiness between galactic superclusters that had long been thought uninhabitable. "It's an invitation," Ilara announced, her eyes wide with excitement as she deciphered the code, but also a warning. The message spoke of the singularity nexus, a cosmic phenomenon occurring once in the lifetime of the universe. It was a convergence of all possible realities, a nexus point where the very fabric of existence could be reshaped, and it was happening soon, deep within the void. "If we don't go, we risk cosmic stagnation," Zax growled, his military mind already calculating the risks. "But if we do, we could lose everything," Lyra finished, her hearts racing at the implications. The newly formed Galactic Council debated furiously. Some saw it as the next step in cosmic evolution, others as a threat to the delicate balance they'd only just achieved. In the end, it was decided. A mission would be launched to the Singularity Nexus, with representatives from every major species. And at the helm of this unprecedented expedition, Lyra and Alex, the unlikely pair whose bond had already reshaped the cosmos once before. Their journey to the void pushed the limits of even the restored harmonic lattice. As they ventured deeper into the cosmic emptiness, reality itself began to fray at the edges. Stars flickered in and out of existence, and time flowed like a turbulent river, sometimes forward, sometimes back. "It's like the universe is remembering all its possible pasts," Alex mused, watching as phantom galaxies bloomed and died in the span of heartbeats. Lyra nodded, her iridescent skin pulsing with an otherworldly light, and imagining all its potential futures. As they neared the coordinates specified in the transmission, they encountered wonders and terrors beyond imagination. They navigated through shoals of crystalline beings that sang the song of creation, each note birthing new worlds. They fled from cosmic predators that fed on the potential energy of unrealized realities. But nothing could have prepared them for what awaited at the heart of the void. The Singularity Nexus hung before them, a swirling maelstrom of pure possibility. Within its depths, they could see echoes of every choice ever made, every path not taken, every dream unrealized. It was beautiful, terrifying, and utterly mesmerizing. And they weren't alone. Gathered around the Nexus were beings of impossible geometry, entities that existed simultaneously in multiple dimensions. These were the architects, the ones who had sent the invitation. "Welcome, children of the young galaxies." Their thoughts resonated directly in the minds of the expedition. "You stand at the crossroads of eternity." The architects explained that the Singularity Nexus was both an end and a beginning. It was a reset point for reality itself, a chance to reforge the fundamental laws of existence. But such power came with a terrible price. To reshape reality, one must step into the Nexus, the architects intoned. But in doing so, they will cease to exist as they are. They will become one with all possibility, sacrificing their individual self to guide the course of the new reality. The weight of this revelation hit the expedition like a collapsing star. The fate of all existence rested on an impossible choice. Who would step into the Nexus? What kind of reality would they shape? As debates raged and tensions flared among the galactic representatives, Lyra and Alex found themselves drawn to the edge of the Nexus. They could feel its pull, the whisper of infinite possibilities. "I should do it," Lyra said softly, her eyes reflecting the swerving chaos before them. As a Zephyrian, I have the mental discipline too. No, Alex interrupted, squeezing her hand. It should be me. Humans are adaptable, creative. We cooled. But as they argued, each trying to sacrifice themselves for the greater good, a realization dawned on them both. It wasn't about Zephyrian or human, wasn't about any single species or perspective. The strength that had brought them this far, that had reshaped galaxies and rekindled the harmonic lattice, came from their unity. Their differences, once seen as barriers, were actually the key to unlocking the greatest potential. With a shared look of understanding, Lyra and Alex made their decision. Hands clasped tightly, hearts beating as one, they stepped towards the singularity nexus. "Wait," Crix called out, his usual smirk replaced by genuine concern. "You can't both." But it was too late. As one being, united in purpose and in love, Lyra and Alex stepped into the heart of all possibility. The universe held its breath. For an eternal moment, Lyra and Alex existed everywhere and everywhen. They were stardust and dark matter, the first spark of life and the last echo of a dying sun. They were every choice, every possibility, every dream of every being that had ever existed or ever would exist. And in that moment of cosmic unity, they understood. The true power of the singularity nexus wasn't in reshaping reality, but in embracing its infinite diversity. The universe didn't need to be remade. It needed to be understood in all its beautiful, chaotic complexity. With this realization, Lyra and Alex guided the energies of the nexus not to rewrite reality, but to expand it. They opened doorways between dimensions, created bridges between distant times, and wove a new layer of connection into the very fabric of existence. When it was over, when the singularity nexus had faded and the expedition found themselves back in familiar space, the universe was fundamentally unchanged, and yet utterly transformed. The barriers between realities had become permeable. Alternate histories, parallel futures, and divergent evolutions now flowed into one another, not as a chaotic mess, but as a harmonious cosmic ecosystem. The diversity of existence had been multiplied infinitely, and with it, the potential for growth, understanding, and connection. And at the heart of it all stood Lyra and Alex, forever changed yet fundamentally themselves. Their bond, tested by the fires of eternity, had become a beacon for all of existence, a living embodiment of the power of unity in diversity. As news of their journey spread across the multiverse, beings from every reality celebrated. The age of isolation was truly over, not just between species or galaxies, but between all possible incarnations of existence. Lyra gazed out at the infinitely expanded cosmos, her hand intertwined with Alex's. "So," she said with a smile that contained worlds, "what's our next adventure?" Alex laughed, the sound rippling across dimensions. "My dear, I have a feeling we've only just begun to scratch the surface." And so, the unlikeliest of pairs, a Zephyrian princess and a human gift, continued their cosmic journey. Their tale became legend, whispered across realities as a testament to the incredible things that can happen when we open our hearts to the unknown, embrace our differences, and dare to imagine a universe united in all its infinite diversity. The adventure, it seemed, would truly never end.